For the graph of the cotangent function, we're going to use the graphs of the sine and the cosine. Here the cosine is in blue. This is the cosine. Oh, I should do that in blue. Cosine of x. And the red is the sine of x. And the reason we need these two is because the cotangent of x, by definition, is equivalent to the cosine of x over the sine of x. That tells us that anytime the sine of x is equal to 0, we cannot divide by 0, so that will be cut out of our domain. So we'll actually have an asymptote anywhere that the sine, or the red, is equal to 0. So that's here on the y-axis, and over here at pi, at 2 pi, okay, and every multiple of pi, including the negatives. So we get all of these asymptotes. And then when the cosine is equal to 0, we're going to have it 0 divided by the sine. Okay? So here at pi over 2, we have a 0 over 1, which is 0. Or over at 3 pi over 2, 0 over negative 1 is 0. And then over here, 0 over negative 1 is 0. Okay, and so on. And then we can start looking at what happens as we divide these numbers. So for example, here between 0 and pi over 2, I see that sine and cosine are equal to each other here at pi over 4. And if I divide those, I get 1. And for all of these values here, I've got a positive divided by a positive. So those will all be positive numbers. And as I get closer to this 0, I'm going to follow that asymptote. Likewise, on the right side of this point, between pi over 2 and pi, I will have a negative number divided by a positive, which is negative. So we'll have negative numbers, and we will follow that asymptote. And this pattern is going to continue. We're going to have this curve repeated over and over again. And that's the graph of our cotangent function.